Have you ever looked into a mirror and not recognized the person staring back at you? You used to know her, loved her, cherished her. But somewhere along the way, in the whirlwind of loving someone else, you began to fade. You began to compromise, not in a healthy balance, but in a way that slowly erased the essence of who you are. This is not a failure of love, this is a failure of awareness. Too many of us enter relationships with the noble intention of giving everything, of supporting, of adapting. And somewhere along the way, we forget the most crucial person in that dynamic, you. You lose yourself in relationships when you mistake validation for love. When you begin to measure your worth by someone else's happiness. When you prioritize their comfort over your own. When you silence your dreams to avoid conflict or inconvenience, you begin to dissolve. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens in tiny increments. The small compromises, the little silences, the moments you ignore your own heartbeat just to match someone else's rhythm. And eventually, you wake up one day, wondering why you feel empty, why your reflection seems foreign, why the laughter that once felt natural now feels hollow. Giacomo Papasidero often speaks about the psychology behind this phenomenon. He explains that relationships are not supposed to be a cage, but a dance. They are not meant to diminish you, but to amplify the best version of yourself. And yet, most of us stumble into a pattern of emotional servitude, believing that to love is to lose. But love that asks you to lose yourself is not love. It's compromise at the cost of your soul. The first step toward reclaiming yourself is awareness. Acknowledge it, admit it, say it out loud, I am losing myself. Because awareness is the spark that ignites change. Without it, you drift endlessly, caught in a cycle that only deepens your sense of disconnection. Now, you may be asking yourself, why do I do it? Why do I give so much that I vanish? The answer is simpler than you think. We sacrifice ourselves because we are afraid of rejection, afraid of being alone, afraid that if we assert our needs, we will lose love. And in a world that constantly tells us that love is scarce, that happiness is contingent on another person, fear drives us into patterns that chip away at our identity. Think about it. How many times have you silenced your opinions to avoid an argument? How many times have you postponed your dreams to accommodate someone else's schedule, someone else's priorities? You do this because, in the deepest recesses of your mind, you believe that being yourself is risky. And in that risk, you might lose. But let me tell you something the world rarely whispers. Losing yourself in order to hold someone else is never a victory. In fact, it is a subtle form of self-betrayal. And betrayal, no matter how small, leaves scars that are not visible, but felt deeply in your bones. Giacomo often reminds us that true intimacy is not about merging entirely. It's about two whole, independent people choosing to walk together. It's not about sacrifice that diminishes, but synergy that elevates. The people who truly love you don't ask you to vanish. They ask you to shine. They invite you to be unapologetically yourself, knowing that your light is not a threat. It's a gift. And this is where courage comes in. The courage to assert your boundaries. The courage to pursue your dreams. The courage to say no without guilt. And the courage to embrace your worth without apology. Have you ever noticed how easily resentment creeps in when you lose yourself? It doesn't happen immediately. It simmers quietly, a shadow that follows you through daily life. You feel exhausted, frustrated, even invisible. You start to question why your laughter doesn't come as freely, why your passions seem distant, why your energy feels trapped. The cost of losing yourself is not just emotional, it's spiritual. It erodes your confidence, it distorts your sense of purpose, and it creates a quiet despair that no one else can fix. Giacomo tells a story of a young man who devoted every ounce of his being to his partner, only to realize, years later, that he no longer knew who he was outside of the relationship. His dreams, his desires, his identity, all had been set aside to support someone else. The irony is painful. He loved fiercely, yet he was deeply lonely. This is the paradox of losing yourself in relationships. The more you give without maintaining your own core, the more isolated you become, even in someone's presence. And here's the truth most people resist. Love cannot thrive in the absence of self-love. You cannot give what you do not possess. If your joy, your passion, your purpose are contingent on someone else's approval, then you are building a life on a foundation of sand. The tides will inevitably rise, and everything will shift. And so, the cost of losing yourself is high. Too high to ignore. Too high to justify with the excuse of love. So, how do you reclaim yourself? How do you rise from the shadows and step back into the light of your own life? It begins with small, deliberate steps. First, you identify what you have lost. Your passions, your boundaries, your voice. Then you make a commitment to yourself, a promise so firm that no guilt can shake it. I will honor my soul. I will be unapologetically me. Start with boundaries. Learn to say no when something does not serve your well-being. Start with honesty. Speak your mind even when it feels risky. Start with self-reflection. Spend time alone to rediscover your desires, your talents, your dreams. And remember, reclaiming yourself does not mean abandoning love. It means transforming love into something healthier, something that complements your life rather than consumes it. Giacomo emphasizes the power of routine reflection and self-affirmation. Write down your goals, meditate on your worth, celebrate small victories, surround yourself with people who respect your individuality. These are not small acts, they are revolutionary acts of self-preservation. Each step is a reclaiming of your identity, a reawakening of your spirit. And as you reclaim yourself, you will notice something remarkable. The world responds differently. People respect you more, not because you demand it, but because you radiate authenticity. Love shifts too. It becomes a choice rather than a crutch. It becomes partnership rather than dependence. And in this space, you rediscover joy, the kind that is rooted in self-respect, freedom, and inner strength. Finally, understand this: love is not the enemy. Losing yourself is. There is a way to love deeply, passionately, and fully without sacrificing the essence of who you are. The people who matter, the ones worth keeping, will celebrate your individuality. They will support your dreams. They will challenge you to grow, not to shrink. And if someone cannot hold space for your authentic self, then no matter how much you give, no matter how much you sacrifice, the relationship is unsustainable. Giacomo reminds us that life is a series of relationships, but the most important relationship is the one you have with yourself. Invest in it, protect it, honor it. When you do, you attract love that complements rather than consumes, that elevates rather than diminishes, that thrives because you thrive. And this is not just theory, it is practice. Start today. Start with self-reflection, with setting boundaries, with pursuing your passions. Take action to reclaim your identity, one step at a time, and watch how your life transforms. Remember, love is not about losing yourself. Love is about growing together while remaining whole. And the greatest gift you can give to yourself and to others is the courage to be unapologetically you. So, rise, reclaim your voice, reignite your passions, reassert your boundaries, and step into the kind of love that celebrates your full, authentic self. Because when you love yourself first, everything else aligns. The relationships, the joy, the life you were always meant to live. The time to reclaim your life is now. Do not wait. Do not compromise. Be whole. Be unapologetic. Be you.